Damn, her did this?
I don't need no one to save me. I was born to be the greatest. All that time in that basement, all that time isn't wasted. Rapping getting faded. I just wanna tell my mom that I made it. Just wanna be the topic of the conversation. Used to rock the gold plated. Now I'm wearing gold chains like I'm famous.
Now, what do you believe submission is to you? And I will start with you, Stephanie.
Woo! I believe submission is knowing a specific role, knowing a point of view in relation to another person. It could be of a lesser power dynamic or a higher power dynamic. Like if you're in a marriage, like your husband is your leader, and above your husband is God. So there is a order of which you fall into place of that. Not saying that your husband in that situation is better than you, but he's over you and protecting you. So you submit to the role of being his wife, which means you're nurturing, you're caring, you're tending to your children and things like that, and also your husband and the vision of the home, and also just submitting to God. So I think it's just submitting to um, relaxing and trusting the person that's over you.
Okay, gotcha. And so stay right there. Now, why do you believe that people today get triggered by the word submission? Why do you think people get triggered by that?
Because they feel like it takes like it's like somebody's usurping power over them. Like I'm a slave. That's what I hear from women when I made the statement like submission is beautiful. Oh, you're a slave, you're a mammy. And I'm like, oh my God. So they don't see beauty in it. They don't see beauty in submitting to the duty of
Mm.
what a wife is. But I give the analogy sometimes what makes it easier, like a parable, like you go to work and you submit to office clerk of Xerox. So in that role, you're expected to do all these things. And if you don't, usually you get a bad review. You know what I'm saying? So it's sort of like that, but in your home. And why not submit or trust the man that you chose to, be over you and cover you? And especially if this person loves you, why wouldn't you submit to that with him if that's the man you chose to be with? I don't know why they hate submission so much, but they just attribute it as a slave, and a lot of feminist point of views is just blended into, femininity, and it's just made it seem like it's just not it. It's not lit. If you know what I'm
Ah,
saying, it's not happening. But
right,
these women are alone, and that's
right.
it's unfortunate.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that. Check the chat, Stephanie, when you have a moment. Let's go with you, Kris. I will. So, what do you believe submission means to you?
Um, Submission is respecting authority. It's in this context in particular, it would be respecting your husband's authority. It's trusting him and it's respecting him, um, and that's pretty much what it is. Like it's that simple. It's just saying,
Hmm.
I picked him. I chose to be here. I choose to be here. And I know that everything that he decides is for my benefit, um, is for our family's benefit, and just kind of jumping when he tells you to jump, unless it's what he's telling you to jump towards is not in alignment with God, which is why you have to make sure that you are studying for yourself so you know if your husband is deviating from the Lord's plan. Because if your husband is your husband's supposed to submit to God, and if he's not doing so, then you can't submit to him. He's going to deviate from the line, from the path, right? But for the most part, yes, you're submitting to his authority.
Gotcha. And also, same question for you. Why do you believe that people get triggered by the word submission? What are your thoughts on that?
Feminism. It's feminism. They were taught to, in order for you to break down a household, you have to teach somebody, you have to teach, in order for them to break down the household, they had to teach women that men were the enemy, right? And that submission was something that they needed to keep them from being their best self, right? And I think, women that were living in a more submissive role and that were happy, they, how can I say this? They had to make it seem like those women were oppressed in order to get other women to follow their movement. There's really no reason, there's no way that you can relate submission to slavery, because if you're being forced to submit, it's no longer submission. It has a completely different definition. That's now coercion. You are now being forced to do something because you're being threatened or blackmailed or abused if you don't. Submission is 100% willing. It's 100% voluntary. You literally signed up for it. And I don't know anyone that has signed up willingly, fully informed to be a slave. It doesn't make any sense. And to be honest, it's quite embarrassing that women would even compare submission to slavery, because we talk about how educated we are and we would think we can make that connection properly. Sorry to be so harsh.
No, shoot, I love it. Keep bringing the spice. Keep bringing the spice. Okay, let's go with Breann.
I believe submission is entrusting your spouse's character and leadership ability, and also you're entrusting your spouse to deeply understand both your wants and your needs to the point to where you have no reason to tell him no to a request. And also, you need to be okay with being told no when you have a different type of request. So obviously, each situation is different, but you have to be okay with being told no, and then having your husband pivot to figure out how to make that request work, because initially it may be a no, but he's going to work hard to make sure he can tell you yes later on. And also why women are fearful of it, they haven't seen it work in real life, and also they're operating on a fear, scarcity, and lack mindset. So that's why they don't see it working or don't think it's viable.
Gotcha. And then, and why do you think people get triggered by the word submission?
The trigger comes from that fear scarcity mindset that it's not going to be something that is going to be tangible for them, or it's something they again haven't seen in real life. They haven't seen their parents do it. A lot of people haven't even seen their grandparents do like what I would say is a healthy form of submission, where again the man can tell the woman no, or she has to pivot, or he has to pivot. It's not necessarily a compromise. It's knowing your role and being comfortable in it.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. And then let's go with Jay. Oh, whoops! I almost clicked you again, Breann. My bad. Yep. Okay, Jay. There you go.
So what I think submission is like the willingness to allow your husband to lead in all aspects of the marriage and the family, and even most of what you do as a woman, as a wife.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Perfect. And then why do you think that people get triggered by the word submission?
They get triggered by it because they believe that submission is lowering yourself, your needs, and your desires for the benefit of a man, and they believe it's like they always tie it into like that's like an animal, and like an animal has like they always say like, oh, it's like a master having control over their animal. I don't know why they would compare the two, but they believe it's like, like everyone said on the panel, like it's a being a slave, or they always equate submissiveness with, your husband having, like, I wouldn't say control, but like having the say so and everything, and you can't do anything. You're just like just this helpless little bunny in the corner, like. So
Yeah.
that's why they, yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, I gotcha.